Police say this woman tried to sell sex for Phillies World Series tickets. She says she was just a creative fan. A jury said she's innocent. Well, almost. What does she say? Well, we'll hear from Susan Finkelstein herself right now on It's Your Call. Well, we all know how crazy Philadelphia sports fans are and just how extreme they can be at times showing support for their teams. But did one woman go too far? Hello, everyone. It's great to have you with us. I'm Lynn Doyle, and police say this woman, Susan Finkelstein, did go too far. She was arrested last fall after a detective saw an ad she placed on Craigslist. He says it was a blatant advertisement for sex, but she says it was just a creative way to get attention. Well, it got her attention, all right. She ended up charged with prostitution, and the whole thing ended up before a jury, which eventually acquitted her of actual prostitution. But it did find her guilty of attempted prostitution. Yeah, I don't know. That confuses me, too. Her lawyer's here. He's going to be explaining that to us in just a minute. But first, Susan Finkelstein joins us to share her side of this bizarre story. Susan, it's nice to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
When you look back on the months since October when this occurred, how do you describe it?
What a long, strange trip it's been. That's all I can say. Obviously, the initial arrest was very distressing by itself before any of the media attention actually broke. Following that, that was a whole new layer of stress and worry. On top of that, and totally disbelief that it got as far as it did.
Is it somewhat surreal to find yourself at the center of this media firestorm?
Yeah, I still don't understand it. I'm still, I tend to think of myself as a student of pop culture and as, a communications person trying to analyze it, but I really haven't come up with an answer as to why it got so big as it did.
Well, we've covered news for 30 years here on It's Your Call, and I have to tell you, anything that has the combination of sex and sports in it is going to get attention, and then you add a beautiful woman to the fray, and this is how things do turn into a media firestorm. When you placed that ad, did you have any idea that that ad would be considered a call to a potential John, or that you would be considered a prostitute?
It never even crossed my mind for a second. I kind of put it on Craigslist as a whim, as I was looking for ads on StubHub and even other areas of Craigslist. So I just thought, what the heck, I'll just put an ad in and kind of see if anything comes in. I mean, I almost was thinking of it as like a message in a bottle type of thing.
Now, we're actually showing the exact ad as you placed it, and it says, "Desperate Blonde needs WS Ticks Philadelphia." And then you say you're a diehard Philly fan and describe yourself there, and you say you're in desperate need of World Series tickets, and I'm the creative type, maybe we can help each other. So you say it was a whim. A detective read this and said, that's a blatant call for trading sexual favors.
Well, there's really nothing in the ad that's overtly refers to that, and certainly there are many ads on Craigslist and other sections that are much more blatant in terms of sex for money.
Yeah,
or
I don't
for
get that.
Else.
I don't get why people can put any kind of ad, particularly the blatant ones,
like
on Craigslist or in a newspaper anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah, that's another show, I guess. But you say yours wasn't as blatant as some.
No, I think of it as like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge ad, and I do have maybe a little bit of a bizarre sense of humor, so I must didn't expect to get any responses at all. But when some of them came in, it was easy to weed out the ones that seemed really over the top.
All right, so be square with me here. I mean, what did you have in mind when you said, I'm creative, we can help each other? If it wasn't sex, what was it?
I just actually wanted to wow some gentleman who had extra tickets and get a cheaper price. I mean, I wasn't above using my feminine wiles if we are meeting in public somewhere to get him to like me and, maybe not want to charge me so much. I don't think that's unheard of.
Okay, we should point out that when you placed this ad, and currently, you were married.
Yes.
And you are married.
I am.
Did you do this with your husband's knowledge?
Yes, I did. He is very well aware of my sense of humor and I guess my comfort in kind of using sexiness in humor. He knew, I didn't read him the ad, I told him the gist of it, and he was like, well, let's see if we get any responses. You know, you got nothing to lose.
Okay, now you know a lot of people are listening to that and saying, wait a minute, that's crazy. That's whacked out. Because for your husband to say, even meeting a guy in a public place and that he might be taken with you, for him to support that is not your traditional marital relationship.
Well, I think we have probably a unique relationship in a lot of ways. We have a very trusting relationship, and he definitely trusts my judgment and thinks that I can definitely handle myself if a situation got a little weird.
Okay.
So, and I have my cell phone with me. He said to call him, and it was like, be careful.
Don't you ever watch like Law and Order or CSI or any of those shows? I mean, something bad could have happened to you.
Well, that's why meeting in a public place like Manny Brown's in a big mall next to a movie theater seemed like a very safe place to meet, where nothing could happen in a busy bar. I wasn't intending to go anywhere else with this gentleman. I was intending to either leave there with tickets or to leave there disappointed.
We're going to have to explain to the audience how it is that you found yourself meeting this so-called ticket holder. And for that, I'm going to turn to your attorney because I want him to square up a couple of things for us. He is William J. Brennan. He has represented Susan, and he's joining us now with more details on this case, which everyone who hears about it finds fascinating. Susan met someone in a bar to see if she could trade whatever for these World Series tickets. That someone turned out to be a cop. How'd that happen?
Well, Mrs. Finkelstein placed this ad on Craigslist, which is an international marketplace. The subsections that she had to choose from included casual encounters, men seeking women, women seeking men. She picked the for sale section. So she's competing with Toyotas and washing machines and lawnmowers. Apparently, according to
she won.
She won. But apparently, according to the Ben Salem police who testified in front of the jury this week, they were on the internet looking for prostitution scenarios. They saw that Mrs. Finkelstein's ad originated from Philadelphia County, which is not their jurisdiction, and they told the jury that they thought it could be a robbery because Phillies tickets on the black market were very valuable.
Okay, so that makes sense. So far, everything seems like it makes sense that they're looking for what is their traditional job. That's what they do, and sometimes that works out. They bust prostitution rings or underage sex rings or that kind of thing. So no bust against the cops. It's under the for sale section, and the fact that World Series tickets on the black market were going for amazing prices. All of this is square so far.
The part that's not so square, though, Lynn, is they're Bucks County cops. They're in Ben Salem Township. If they really believed it was a robbery, which is a violent crime, I mean, is it their job to lure the potential violent robber into Ben Salem, into Manny Brown's? What if it was a robber? What if the robber pulled out an AK and sprayed the place with bullets? I mean, it makes no sense. And the jury didn't buy that part of it.
But they knew that it wasn't a potential robber, from what I'm told, because Susan admittedly sent some risque photos to this undercover detective. Now that's where it crosses the line and gave him reason to believe that she was offering sex, right?
Unless he believed she was a topless robber, because she did send 3 topless photos. But Sergeant Bush and Officer Brady, the 2 fine officers who testified, said it's not illegal to send topless photos. That's what my client did.
Okay. I got to turn back to my girlfriend here. What were you thinking sending topless photos?
I guess the point was I wasn't really thinking. Just like I had written the ad in about 20 seconds time, thinking I'd put this ad up while I was investigating other venues for tickets, and just thought I'd kind of wow him. And usually these photos are private.
I was going to say, you just have these pictures hanging around in case you need to woo somebody?
Not for that reason. I think it's something that my husband and I kind of shared, and at that point I was so crazed about getting tickets. I thought, if this increases my chances of setting up a meeting with this guy who probably maybe gets a lot of people who want his tickets, maybe that would put him more likely to meet me.
So this is where the disparity comes. She says she was just trying to woo a potential seller of World Series tickets. The detectives say that there was a conversation where sex was offered. I'll do, to paraphrase, just about anything to get these World Series tickets. That's where you disagree.
That's the disparity. My client elected to take the stand, which